will, rust at level 5 and go gank the map instead of fighting for the Skull Crab, which we've seen, I don't know, for the past 6 months.
The Breaker, I want to ask you about. This is heavy. I want to ask you about this guy.
Oh.
What with this guy? Because
I know who you're talking about.
he's been heavily nerfed.
The guy Noxious from, Darius is just still so strong. I know he received the nerf, but I think he is still very popular, especially if you guys have followed other regions like North America or China. They still love to pick this champion, and I don't think this nerf hurts him a lot. It's just a tiny nerf, but if you are proficient on this champion, there should not be a problem. And I think the champion that you guys need to look out for, or the champion that is probably not gonna be played as much anymore, is Fiora after the nerf on this patch, because they reduced the range of the first ability and they slightly buffed the passive, but in the end this is a huge nerf for the early game and especially in teamfights. So the ability to gap close and reach the backline, try to kill those ADCs and the mage is going to be much harder, and I feel like the priority that she had beforehand, like she used to be one of those power picks, pick her first rotation, pick her second rotation, or even banning her out, but now I think she's going to be more like a pocket pick, a split pusher. But yeah, also other changes obviously, so let's see how the teams are going to adapt to this new meta.
I just watched Darius swing in the axe, and I have to say that the guy is extremely strong. I mean, it's super heavy, that axe that I just handled by myself. Cameline, we've seen those changes from the patch. What do you think about the Kaiser, for example? We didn't talk about that.
Oh, Kaiser, I mean, we've seen the predominance for AP mages on the Dragon lane for so long that I'm just expecting to start seeing more AP, but also more AD, like a little bit of variety to typical picks, Corki, even Seraphine, like give me something else, like I'm tired of seeing that. Also, I think the Kaiser, Yumi and Rakan all together, that's a powerful comp. So come on, give me the Yumi passive, improve it, done. Just call the game done.
Give me something exciting. I can be more agree with you, definitely. I really want to see those exciting beings here. Do you think that we'll have some of them today?
Exciting players. We're gonna see exciting players all day. All these teams are amazing. I mean, we are gonna see the best players all of Europe. I mean, it can only be great.
Yeah, and that brings us to the topic, to the Formulation versus Unicos of Love. You were talking about that, the aggressiveness of those teams. But we have Unicos of Love. It's quite a mystery because we didn't get to see that many games from Unicos of Love, but this is a lineup we know very well.
Yeah, I mean, Unicorns of Love have been together for, I think, almost a whole year. They also played together in the Origin Series in the last year, so they didn't even change a single thing on the roster. Denalians and Sakyu, they swap roles, but other than that, it's a completely same roster, and they have shown so many times that they are forced to be reckoned with, and they are synergized in team fights. I think it's going to be fun to see how they're going to break down this patch.
And that Breaker, on the other side, there's the complete opposite thing. Like, we have some changes from the side of Formulation for today.
Yeah, they changed Zur, who used to play in the support role, into the Baron lane and put Trust into the support role and Feiko as the ADC. So these changes are gonna obviously be crazy because you don't know what draft they're gonna pick. You don't know the new playstyle with those new team members or with those changes. So I think when it comes to the Baron lane, I know Zur personally, he likes to go for those carry champions. He likes to go for those 1 versus 1s, playmaking champions, hyper carry champions. And from what I've been told, the bot lane seems to be really consistent now, and definitely, who knows what's gonna happen? Formulation Gaming versus Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, definitely. And Caroline, Formulation Gaming is absolutely a team that exceeds expectations.
Do they, though?
I really think. I mean, they were no favorites at all.
They were kind of the underdogs of the entire WREC, but I think they're going to meet the underdogs of the entire competition now in this match. So whoever comes out on top is someone to be looked at very carefully.
Definitely. So, guys, these are our expert opinions for the Formulation Gaming versus Unicos of Love. And finally, we are ready to get the teams on stage.
Formulation is known for being furious, you know, like we don't care. We're just here to win. It's up to them to worry about us because we are unpredictable.
There's an engage coming in. It's a great counter-engage from Zawa and the rest of Formulation Gaming.
We've been practicing all the time, like even sometimes we think like maybe it's not possible for us to come, maybe something happens. I'm really happy that actually we could make it to Barcelona. It's really important for us.
Unicorns of Love will rampage their way through the Nexus 2-0.
Our current jungler, Faton, he used to play in Formulation, so it's a very important match for him. But now he's with us again and he's in the right team, definitely. Better jungler wins, you know?
Unicorns of Love are very well known for their drafting.
Well,
Look at that. Grizzly's just running him down. Didn't need the ult, but
Things like Senna Nasus, it's pretty disgusting to play against. So we just need to find the key to neutralize. We are pretty confident.
we definitely will surprise. We'll do our best to make it interesting. They're actually a really strong European team. We prepared really hard. We tried to realize the strengths, weaknesses.
I hope that we can make it into the group stage. I'm not promising, but I hope.
We brought unicorns to Barcelona and we're gonna show what our unicorns are made of.
Hey guys, we're coming for you. Sounds kinda cringe.
Definitely a lot of pressure into these teams, considering one best of 3 is the difference between making the group. So going home once again, Unicorns of Love versus Formulation is the best of 3 that are we going to have the first today. And these are our lineups. This is our teams are gonna step into our stage. Okay, so guys. Now, thoughts, unicorns, a lot of things. I want you to give me your opinion. Who's gonna take this serious?
I think it's difficult to just answer one question like who's gonna win because both teams are
Directly
obviously great.
review.
I think
Get into it.
I think Formulation is gonna win the game in the end. But we saw even last year with Unicorns of Love in the group stage, they just sweep the floor with every team, even though they were considered the underdog for the whole tournament. And they sweep the floor with everyone in the first weeks of games. But then we came to the playoff and they completely fell apart and they didn't even take a single game after that.
Breaker, would you say that Formulation is a favorite today?
It's really hard to say. I would say it's more like a 50-50. It's really unpredictable to, yeah, it's kind of unpredictable to know who's gonna win, Formulation or Unicorns of Love, just because Unicorns of Love play a pretty unique playstyle where they have a lot of pocket picks, a lot of strategies, while we haven't seen the new roster of Formulation Gaming, so it's hard to say how they're gonna perform. But my favorites are in this matchup Formulation Gaming, so I think they're gonna win it. But in the end, it can still go either way.
Okay, so now, guys, we're gonna welcome the first team. We're gonna welcome Formulation Gaming to our stage.
back, face to face, we are the apex predators, chewing out competitors. Apex predators, stomping out competitors. Apex predators, tearing out competitors.
So here are our teams finally in the stage, amazing stage that we have today, Formulation versus Unicorns of Love. I ask you both, Ryu and WREC, about the favorites. Who do you think are the favorites? Who do you think that is going to take this series? But I wanted to ask Kamala now, because these guys seem to be quite in the same line.
I'm not.
You're
Absolutely
not.
not.
That's my girl.
Okay, listen to me. Unicorns of Love, we've seen barely nothing from them. And I honestly believe that the power that they've shown, even in the entrance, can carry them to the finals.
So you're a unicorn stan.
I'm a unicorn myself.
Okay, so we have here, we have arguments on the table. I like that. Two guys with Formulation and Cameline with Unicorns of Love. We get to see our predictions for today because there are different opinions going on in here. Since Hazel is also with Unicorns of Love, Cameline and myself as well. Do you think that we are delusional?
I mean,
Are you gonna say this?
it's okay to have some hope, you know. I mean, I think obviously Formulation is gonna wipe the floor with them, but I mean, yeah, I mean, having hope is okay.
Okay. Now, in the end, there's a lot of misery there, but jeez, there's a lot of misery ongoing with this series and a lot of passion that we just heard back there. There's a lot of misery around this series, that breaker, because we didn't get to see Unicorns that much. We really don't know how well it's going to be this new iteration of Formulation Gaming. So I don't know if you're with me, but I just want an exciting series.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably the most exciting game just because how unpredictable it is and how hard it is to say which team is gonna win. Because I feel like the other matches, we kind of know how good they are, but for these two teams, I think it can, like I said, it can go either way. So it's just who knows.
I mean, a lot of mystery because of the teams, a lot of mystery because of the patch, Cameline. Like, unpredictable everything, but it's the rift, the same rift as it's been always. So you're with me, you're with the Unicorns of Love. Do you believe in magic? Do you believe in magic?
I do, I actually do. I'm a witch as well.
You are also as well.
A little bit.
Definitely. That's our riff that we have in here. And we talk a lot about this, about the series. So guys, if there's any topic you want to bring onto the table, if there's anything you just went to your mind, like this is going to be super important for this series, why is going to be that important for the series?
I think obviously it's the first time we see Sour playing in the top lane for this team. This guy has been known in Europe as one of the best mechanical players, and he's been stuck in a role which is support, where it's hard to show individual skill apart from like your macro understanding. And this time we see him in a 1v1 lane with champions that can just go in there and fight and show this mechanical prowess that he can show. So I think for me the top lane matchup is the most exciting one today, because I think Sour is a beast and I think he's gonna crush it.
Do you think that he's gonna crash in? Yeah, definitely. He's an absolute beast. But we saw a lot of changes that were going in there. The breaker was saying like maybe we missed Fiora in this in this new meta. Maybe not only the Darius, that are some champions disappearing, and I'd like to see some new things to come as well. But guys, I'm done with you. I want to ask a true expert about this game. So please, Stuart, which are the key points for this series?
Thank you very much, Noah. Yeah, you mentioned it already, the Formulation Gaming roster changes, Zawa moving up into that Baron lane. We played a few games together as well, so I know a few of his cheeky picks as well, which are going to be very, very interesting. And Trust moving down into that support lane as well. New roster for Formulation Gaming, so we're not really too sure what to expect for them. But other than that, it's the mid lane matchup. The Don in the mid lane is the star player for Formulation Gaming. He plays picks like Irelia, Yasuo. Not be surprised if that's going to be be banned away. On the other side, ZAQ used to playing in the dual lane, now is back in the mid lane. So I have to see how that works out as well. And moving on to the third point is the unique pocket picks for both of these teams. We've seen Feko in the WREC pick champions like Misfortune, Seraphine, really interesting weird champions. Galio as well in the dual lane. On the other side, Unicorns of Love, they also have some interesting pocket picks coming into this series. I'm really looking forward to it. First game of the WREC. Back to Noah and Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Stuart. And everything is way clear, and I liked a lot that Greg, because he talked about the Midland, and that is true. Really, the Don has a unique champion pool to bring up here.
That's definitely true. Like, he likes those stylish carry champions in the mid lane, Yasuo, Aurelia, and he also has some pocket picks prepared, so maybe he's gonna bring it out for this match. Pretty exciting, and I also have no idea how ZAQ is gonna perform in the mid lane. That's a recent change, so who knows what he's gonna bring into the mid lane. Maybe some ADC champions in the mid lane, considering that he used to be an ADC player, Corki for example. Hopefully not with Heartbreaker, but let's see.
Several bold changes, Cameron. I would say, like, we have a lot of roster moves, like inside the same roster, like they have lane swaps, and that is a really risky combo when it comes to a crucial best of 3 that we have here today.
I think, from my point of view, it actually gives you more flexibility, because knowing that a player can play in several roles, what that lends you is, like, the first game didn't go so well. What if we try this new thing in the second game? And that allows many windows for them to try, experiment, and maybe, you know, just create a little bit of confusion of rival.
Yeah, absolutely. Flexibility is everything, I mean, in WREC when it comes like this. And we saw these teams being able to flex just so many picks. That is why it's so important, this new patch, new options, new ideas for these teams that are quite creative in their game plans.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, flex pick has always been a huge thing on competitive mobile games, and Wild Rift is definitely also one of them. I think with Aurelia being buffed recently, with a lot of good items that are strong on her were buffed recently. So I think Aurelia is a pick we're gonna see a lot today, probably, because we know that Don can play it, we know Sour can play it, even Kimao has played it in the jungle. So I'm so excited to see how these teams are gonna pick some of the champions and maybe tell the little team, you don't know where I'm gonna put it.
Yeah, that's actually true, because it gives you so many options when it comes to the draft. You don't show your cards that early in the draft, like that breaker.
I think there are too many options, even that you
so many.
Like, on the first day, you don't really know what type of playstyle these teams are gonna go for, and they have so many different team compositions that they can use. Like, I know that Senna in the bot lane is becoming really popular. You also have APC, so AP mages in the bot lane, and maybe some engage compositions, early game compositions, scaling compositions, or like just true frontliners with poking backline. Like, there's so much viable right now on this patch, and I think we are gonna see a lot of strategies coming into this match.
That breaker is just talking about the APC, ADC, and the flexibility around the map, and we get to see lately in the last chance qualifier mostly some AD carries popping off Carmeline. What do you think about this?
I mean, I'm glad that it is happening, because some players, in my opinion, they weren't really showing the full potential. They were kind of side-laned into playing APCs because that was the most powerful comp that you could go for. But nowadays, you've got plenty of options. I know Yin has been nerfed, for example, but you've still got quite a few ones on the table. You can choose plenty from those, and mainly, I kind of want to go back to old school, you know. I wanted them to bring back those bot lanes, those dragon lanes. Please do so, please.
Just make Caroline happy. I mean, how can you say no to that face? Like, make Caroline happy. Definitely. I want to see these highly mechanical matchups that we really enjoy, and we're gonna get back with our expert, the Stuart, that is ready with the codes of Unicorns of Love for an interview.
Thank you very much, Noah. Yeah, I am joined by Shorty, who is the coach for Unicorns of Love. Shorty, coming into this, you playing a Plains match. It's going to be very difficult against Formulation, trying to get into Group B. How are you feeling about the matchup?
I mean, I would say that any team that we could face potentially here is a difficult match because, you know, the best teams come here. How are we feeling? I would say that we are confident enough. We know what we want to do, and we're going to stick to it. And, well, I guess we'll see who's better.
Of course. And how's your preparation been coming into the tournament? Obviously, you played the best of 3 before against talented ones. We haven't seen a lot from you guys other than that. So how's the preparation coming into, you know, the new patch and everything as well?
I mean, it was very tough because our competitive season was kind of scuffed because of a lot of canceled matches. So basically, it was mainly scrims, and then we are kind of, you know, guessing, trying to see what is the best in the meta. We have our vision. Maybe it's wrong. I'm pretty sure it's right, you know.
Hopefully it will be. And obviously, you want to try and win this match. But what's your goals for the whole tournament? Obviously, winning it. But how far do you really feel like you can go?
Well, it depends. Goals or dreams? You know, because dreams, number one. But seriously, our main goal is to get into the main event, and then we want to make it to playoffs. That's like the goal that we set for us, and then I guess we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes indeed. Shorty, thank you very much for joining me for the interview. Back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Stuart. It's time to get towards the game, so we're coming over to the caster desk. Stress joined by Hell's Devil for our very first game of finals. We're in the same place, Hells. How does it feel to we finally get to cast together?
How does it feel, man? That's a good question. It feels absolutely amazing, and especially to cast this particular game, because you know as well as I do, I love Unicorns of Love. So if there is one game that I would love to cast, it's this game, Stress.
Well, this is a really important series. Everybody's touched on it so far, but to reset the stakes for you, this is a best of 3 to get the final spot in Group B. So really important. You lose this best of 3, you're out of the finals. You're done. Your road is ending here. And actually, like Group B, I think either of these teams could get out. Group B is a group with Game Lord, which they are the winners of the main season. But then you've got Parla, who are a little bit unknown. So going into that group could very well put them all the way through into playoffs.
It's definitely a bit of an easier group than Group A, I would say. But highlighting that it's a best of 3 is very important because Unicorns of Love is a team of surprises, right?
Yes.
Like we saw it during the previous tournament, during the Origin Series. They won against a team like WREC, even, Stress. They won against the best team in Europe, who was pretty much undefeated. And now they're up against Formulation Gaming, who's an incredibly good team as well. Like this being a best of 3, and it's all or nothing. You win, you get in. You lose, you're out. So this is it for Unicorns of Love, and this is what they want to do.
High stakes, and both of these teams have some similarities as well. We're expecting both of them to team fight really heavily. Unicorns of Love, their series we saw against talented ones, it was all about team fighting around the dragon, pretty much 5v5 the entire game. Formulation, they're one of my favorite teams to watch because of their team fighting. When they come out with these picks, like the Galio, I think is a super high priority in this series because of the playstyle of both teams.
Yeah, definitely. And Formulation especially, a very, very solid team with team fighting and everything like that. But the word expect, I feel, is not in the dictionary of Unicorns of Love because we have no idea what we can expect of this team. They do the weirdest things in the draft, and the beautiful thing is they make it work, Stress.
Yeah, they do make it work. I think during the best of series against the talented ones, they took me a little bit by surprise just from their play style of playing very differently to Europe, and I think that's the great thing that we have here at the finals is we've got the teams that were originally representing the CIS region, we've got our European teams that we casted all split long, and of course we've got our teams representing Turkey, and really there has been a clash of meta. We now have a new patch as well to come in on, a lot of changes, so heading into this draft I think there are a few things that we can count on. The Galio high priority, we've still seen quite a lot of bruises. Camille we're expecting to have a lot of focus on as well in these drafts.
And something else I want to talk about, Stress, is the Hole Breaker, because during the NA Championship we saw Hole Breaker every single game. And now the question is, right, like every region has a different meta, even in Europe, as you mentioned. Are people going to be picking the Hole Breakers every single time, right? Like, are we going to see the Garens in the Baron lane? Are we going to see the Shans in the Baron lane? Well, we'll find out right now as we head into the picks and bans, Stress.
Yes, we get to go right into game 1 of the picks and bans. I totally think we're going to see it, and I know you do as well. So just to keep in mind, we are going to have some Hole Breaker champions. We even saw our European teams bringing the Graves into the solo lanes as well. That was more of the Rix style, where Snitch, one of the best mid laners, if not the best in Europe, was just like, I'll play whatever. I'll play anything. I can do everything. These two teams, I think, are a little bit more telegraphed in the sense of like Formulation. People started figuring out banning Irelia is a really good pick against them because they default to it every single time they can, and it's available. They're gonna pick it. You know, Formulation.
Exactly. The Dawn especially, right? Like it's all about him. He plays the Irelia and he loves those mechanically hard champions like the Irelia and like the Yasuo. Yasuo is a bit hard to pull off, but Irelia right now is an incredibly strong champion. We've heard many teams talk about it. So what do you ban? What do you pick? Like, what do you do in this position? Because you only have 3 bans per team, and you still have the Yuumi, you still have the Karmas, you still have the Camille's, as you can see. There's so many different champions to put priority on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we see a Camille ban already and a Karma ban, Stress.
Karma's a champion that's going to get banned. There's the Irelia going. I know that Formulation won the coin flip and opted for red side in game 1 of this series. The loser in subsequent games will get side selection. I kind of expect red side to have high priority with the way that the draft goes. There are a lot of strong picks, at least in the previous meta, that it's not like first pick you get one thing that wins the game and everything's great. And that's Senna. We've heard from Grizzly and Snyland a little bit how much that focus on bot lane is. We've seen the Senna Nasus, the Senna Gallios, those types of picks. I like the Formulation. They're like, you know what? Not this game.
Yeah, we're not going to deal with it. And now the thing that Unicorns of Love have in their favor is the Rakan is, I don't want to say an insta-win, of course it's not, but Rakan is an insanely strong champion. So they have the choice to exactly ban out the Olaf, which is a ban against the enemy jungle against Kim Yao. But now I feel Formulation has to ban the Rakan. So it kind of feels like they only have 2 bans. Of course, let's see what they're going to do. But what I'm seeing right here is they have to ban the Rakan, because if they give away the Rakan, they could only really counter it with a Galio. But still, Rakan is a massive force to be reckoned with.
There's the pick we kind of touched on a little bit about flexing. Now the Rakan is open that you talked about, and we get the first sight in Europe of what is first pick priority. We heard the interview with Unicorns about whether their read on the meta is correct, and that's a Jace picked up. It's been a little while in Europe since we had this high priority on Jace, but still strong. We've seen it jungle, seen it in the solo lane too.
Definitely, and I feel this might also be because of the whole breaker, because Jace kept getting nerfed and nerfed and nerfed, you know, just like Seth, for example. But both these champions are still incredibly good, in competitive play especially. And Gragas is one of those other champions, you know, you can put him anywhere, you can do whatever you want with him. He's a really, really good pick, and I really love this pick against Unicorns of Love especially, because we talked about Unicorns of Love being very unpredictable, so you can just decide where you want to put the Graves. You want to put him in mid lane, you want to put him in Dragon lane, support, jungle, whatever. Wherever you feel he fits well, you can put it. And they picked the Rakan as well. Let's see how Unicorns of Love decides to counter this, because I feel these are good picks for Formulation, Stress.
This is some good engage coming out from Formulation. Like Gragas, as you said, can flex between multiple roles, even right down to support, and that's the strength of red side, is you get to hold it all the way till the end. That's a Yuumi picked up. We haven't touched on Yuumi too much. There was a bug that prevented her from being played in last chance qualifiers. She's back available for this. So now we look towards what kind of pick does this go with. We've seen it a lot with Ezreal in general, historically throughout Yuumi, but a lot of AD carries can play with her.
I was just gonna say Jax, but they picked the Nasus. Whoa. This is what I mean. Why do they pick the Nasus? Why? That's the question. What are they gonna do with it? You have no idea. I have no idea. No one has any idea. And this is the beauty about Unicorns of Love, Stress. They just pick something and no one knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So what do you do as Formulation?
Because, I mean, the principle normally is that Nasus and Senna, Nasus can farm, Senna can farm the stacks, right? Yeah. It doesn't really matter about where the gold goes. That's a Jax picked up for Formulation, likely to come out of the jungle. We'll see where it goes. Now, this means that if Yuumi stays in lane on Nasus, I mean, Nasus is going to be unkillable for a long point in this game. But now I'm like, who gets the gold? How much does Nasus get? How does that work out? But it is a Unicorns of Love pick. We expect the unexpected.
So, Stress, for a normal team, I would say this is not smart. Because, like, if you pick a Yuumi, Yuumi is incredibly good with 2 junglers, which is the Jax and the Olaf, right? Like Olaf already got banned, and now they gave the Jax to Formulation. So are they really going to be pairing Yuumi with an ADC, put the Nasus in the Baron lane and play actual Nasus? And the reason I'm saying actual Nasus is because, you know, that's the traditional way of playing Nasus, stacking and getting to the late game.
Yeah, I feel like if they do that, the downsides of Nasus in a competitive game, right, is you can focus him out pretty heavily with jungle attention, and he never really stacks up. Unlike solo queue, where he's a monster and gets 40 minutes in, well, I say 40, that's PC, 20 minutes into the game, and kind of plays for the late game. Zig's taken out with Seraphine, so a lot of focus from Unicorns on the bottom side. Formulation rounded out with 2 AP assassins with with the Ahri gone, the Akali gone. So Formulation still looking likely for their bottom lane and mid lane champions unless Gragas is going there. We'll see what they take on this 4 pick.
Yeah, Unicorns of Love has a lot of target bans, as we can see. Seraphine, obviously the target ban against Feka. We saw his Seraphine. There is a Tristana as well. So Formulation Gaming throwing in the picks that we don't expect as well. Tristana stress. It's a bit hard for me to say. The thing is, however, Tristana is one of those champions that kind of skills with the Nasus. So even if the Yuumi and the Nasus get to the late game, Formulation Gaming is still going to have the Tristana to, also provide enough damage.
Yeah, and they still have a little bit of flexibility in the draft as to where that Gragas is going. Tristana gives them good scaling. Hullbreaker, we've seen picked up on Tristana as an efficient item anyway. She can take towers very, very quickly with it. Kha'Zix's taken out of the jungle, so this is not exactly an as easy to read composition from Unicorns of Love. This last pick will show us exactly where everything's going. I mean, there's the outside chance it's a Jace in the bottom lane. We've seen a couple of teams trying to do that. And there's a Garen Yuumi is one of the obvious picks that we haven't seen in quite some time, but very, very strong when they're both together.
Oh my god, Stress. I was talking about them being unpredictable, but this is some next level stuff. So they pick a Yuumi, they don't pair it with an ADC, and they don't pair it with a high DPS jungler. Yuumi Garen? Is it going to be a Yuumi Garen pair? Are they going to put the Nasus in the bot lane? Where are they going to put anyone? Ooh, that's a Fiora stress. And I want to touch up on this because Darkbreaker mentioned earlier, Fiora got changed, right? Mostly she got nerfed, but if you actually look at this draft, stress, she got buffed. If you look at this draft, she deals more damage, she has lower range. But look at Unicorns of Love, 4 melee champions plus a Yuumi, which means Fiora is the absolute perfect pick. And I feel Formulation won the chess game right here. I feel like they won the drafting game against a team like Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, and I feel like when we don't normally see Tristana a whole lot, one of her strengths is always playing safely and then destroying melee range tanks in the late game. Like, they cannot stick on top of her. She just rocket jumps away and goes, okay, I have a Buster Shot as well. I've got a support around me. A Gragas will disengage. I think if Formulation get to the late game, they can both team fight around the Tristana, but also secure the side lane. They have Jax and Fiora, 2 of the absolute best side lane champions in Wild Rift. And they can just take towers, take inhibitors as quickly as they want.
Or I feel Formulation did the best that they could have possibly done in the draft. And as you can see, both coaches here shaking hands. These are the masterminds behind the draft, right? Both did an amazing job, and it's gonna be hard, man. It's gonna be hard, Stress. What to say?
I guess at this point it's down to Formulation of, did we read Nasus, Yuumi Garen, Kha'Zix coming into this draft quite as much? I'm gonna bet that this is a little more crazy than Formulation were expecting out of this draft. Interestingly enough, no Galio priority at all in this draft at all. That was the one pick where I was like, both teams are gonna pick Galio for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Galio is just such a good pick, but no one picked him. I don't quite understand why, because Galio is also a very good pick into Rakan, but it seems like it seems like Unicorns of Love wanted to surprise Formulation, and Formulation wanted to just counterpick those surprises. But Stress, we're getting into the game, and I'm hella excited.
Yeah, we are into game 1 of the WREC finals. That means we can finally get onto Wild Rift and play some games. It is going to be Nasus down in that bottom lane for Snyland with that Yuumi. I mean, this lane surely gets outranged. Like, there's surely no way that you can lane that safely for these first few minutes, unless I'm misreading that. But Nasus feels like Tristana's just going to run him down without jungle attention.
The thing is, though, they're playing Nasus without anyone to proc Font of Life. So, well, they have a Yuumi, but of course it's hard to have Yuumi to be the one to proc Font of Life, because they're gonna see it coming, right? Like, whenever Nasus attacks with his third ability, Yuumi wants to hit the enemy to proc the Font of Life. So here you can see what their plan is, but this is hard, Strike. This is gonna be really hard because they'll always see it coming.
Yeah, Feko and Trust, obviously, we haven't seen as a duo bot lane. I don't know that Formulation have been particularly known for their bottom lane focus, but we'll have to see how this new duo can take it. I mean, Zawa, of course, moving from support up into the top lane is a little bit more confident from the way that we've talked to them about being a 1v1 player, about playing in that solo lane. So maybe it gives Formulation a little bit of an extra edge that they didn't have in the rest of the split. But we were in that moment where we get to see, is it going to be Scuttle Crab control? Is it going to be full clears? Like, how are the jungle changes going to affect? You can see that Kamau is actually heading right for that Scuttle.
And Stress, this is a thing that changed a lot, by the way. The Rift Scuttler gives much less experience right now, which puts a lot more priority in doing a full jungle clear. Neither team is doing that right now. I feel we're gonna evolve the jungle meta throughout this tournament, because it is definitely a good thing to do right now, which is the full jungle clear, which gets you level 5, and it can get you ahead massively experience-wise, as opposed to the enemy who's taking the Rift Scuttler.
Yeah, and to speak a little bit about that, we have some teams that are heavily jungle-focused. The likes of Team Queso, who will play later today, they give everything to their jungle Andre, whereas Formulation, Kimau is good at playing around mid lane. He spends a lot of time around Don because of the focus that normally goes there. But neither jungler in this game is like they are the superstar carry of their team. Phaeton is really good, and we know that Phaeton and Grizzly have good synergy between each other. They do a lot of roams around the map that we don't see from other teams. But here's a roam coming from Trust into the middle lane. Gonna get the knock up onto ZachQ. Is this gonna be first blood of the tournament? No, not with the acceleration gate. Shock Blast on the back end. They get the flash though.
And Don did use his ultimate as well, and it's not the worst thing. I feel it's a bit of a panic, because obviously they're at a live event. They're playing behind us right here, right? Like, they have to get into it. Using that ultimate is not the end of the world, because we're only 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the game, so he'll get it back before the first objectives. So it's okay, they got it. But as we look into the Vision game stress, Formulation Gaming seems to be doing a bit better in that.
Yeah, they've put their focus down towards Dragon at this point, where that's likely where they're going to be looking within that next minute or so as the neutral objectives spawn. I don't think we're going to have a drastic change in meta. Of course, we've not really seen any of the upcoming changes to objectives and that kind of thing. On 3.1b, we're still expecting that 4-minute swap around to middle lane, still expecting just the way that bot lane goes to mid. Your side lanes go for the solo players and just play it out slow through the side lane. And this is one thing where I wonder where this Nasus is going to go, because Nasus, you want to farm up. Mid lane, you have to farm quickly. So he's going to be throwing out that the Shroud, or the ability 3, where it just pushes the lane out in order to contend with the push, I would have thought.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a little hard to play the Nasus with the Yuumi. Like, sure, early game he'll be fine, but once we get to the mid-late game, right, like when the Tristana is going to start to do much more damage, and then combined with the CC of the Rakan, he's not going to be able to take farm for free anymore. So like right now he has a fun time, but Phaeton is looking for some blood, but Fekko is going to jump over the wall, and he's all good. So it seems like Unicorns of Love is taking control of the Rift Scuttler right there, which is, in my opinion, the more important objective.
Look at Formulation now cutting back in. They know that UOL can't push mid out as quickly. They swapped Vision to Rift Herald, dragged Unicorns up to the top side. Now they're going to go for Dragon and take the exchange themselves. So I wonder how much Formulation will play around this, less pushing potent mid lane, where Nasus can't really contend to the speed of Tristana.
And Stress, we actually have to look at the color of the dragon. It's green. It's the Ocean Dragon. And even though a lot of people like to say the Ocean Dragon is not good, look at that composition of Formulation Gaming. Tristana, Fiora, and the Jax. These are 3 champions that heavily utilize the healing that they get. You know, the physical vampirism that they get. So Unicorns of Love handshake, and sure they got the Rift Herald.
You were asking about Hullbreaker.
Oh,
we already have 2. There it is. We already have 2 from Unicorns of Love. So they're heavily focusing on playing solo. I think there's a risk there, right? Because if you see a lot of Hullbreaker, you either have to overextend sometimes to push down towers, or you lose traction in the middle lane. So I don't want to hop on it too much about Unicorns of Love, as we do have another engage. That's a Nasus with the ultimate available, and an exhaust, so no way he's dying in this situation. But with a slow starting game, I wonder how much room Unicorns of Love are going to be able to push out with those Hullbreakers for now.
The thing is, however, Formulation Gaming has the answer to it. Normally, we like to say, when the enemy builds a Hullbreaker, you counter with a Hullbreaker as well. But Jax and Fiora are 2 champions that don't necessarily need a Hullbreaker to, equalize the wave, because they're very strong individuals in the side lanes. So I feel this is a bit of a risky move by Unicorns of Love, but now I understand the Rift Herald, right? Like, now I understand the priority of the Rift Herald, because they have split pushing champions, and they're looking for a gank in the top lane. Stress
looking top as Formulation are looking bottom lane. Rift Herald has been dropped in the top side. Zawa, it's a welcome to the top lane at this point. Baron lane, first game for him. He's trying to get out. Good flash away from the To The Skies. It's going to mean that Tower is going to go down in bottom lane. I think Zawa is going to trade his life for it in exchange, but Formulation will get that to begin with. Zawa doesn't manage to get away. Prowling Projectile will pick it up, but look, now the swap to mid lane from Formulation, so relatively even trade, but that Rift Herald will push again in the top lane.
This was perfect by Formulation Gaming, as you can see there. Oh, and as they're going to go
for the exchange. There's only 2 members of Unicorns here, and the first kill has already gone over to this Tristana. Fekko picking up 1, and Formulation, they're going to take the fight in middle lane. Tower aggro still on, but there's a double kill going through for another kill. Tower goes down, and Coldstar has to flash himself away. away. No way for Unicorns to get more from that middle lane fight, but Zach, I believe, did get that tower up in the top lane.
Zach got 2 towers, but this is the perfect counterplay by Formulation Gaming right here. They pushed the bottom lane tower, they got first turret, and as we look into this replay, as you can see, they went on the Nasus, they killed him as well, of course, because it's 4 people with the Fiora ultimate as well. Then they pushed the mid lane turret as well, so this is a massive, massive win for Formulation Gaming as they're scaling into the late game with the Tristana, with the Jax, against this composition who's very split push focused. They've already gotten a lot of pressure on the map, they've already gotten the mid lane turret, which is a very, very important turret, especially against these hull breakers.
One thing I'd love to get your opinion on, looking at how we're playing a lot of split push side lane, Twin Shadows, or at least the Spooky Ghost, has been picked up by Trust as his boot enchant. So gonna look for picking people off on the side lane solo. We don't see it too much as support anymore, but if you're solo on a side lane, that slow applies, you're revealed, easily picked off. This is an adaptation we don't see too much.
I know why I picked it up. It's because of the Kha'Zix stress. It's because of the Kha'Zix.
True, it reveals.
Yes, it reveals. He got the shadows, you know, because when Kha'Zix uses his ultimate, he's going to be really hard to focus out. And especially when you're playing Jax in the late game, when you use that third ability to swing around, you want to be standing in, but Trust is in some problems.
Good flash from Trust will get him some distance, forced to use the quickness in order to jump away a little bit further and speed him his way out. So that's heal, ult, and flash used by Trust. So if there's another exchange coming around Dragon potentially in just over 30 seconds, maybe it's you know, not so great, but Trust actually goes back in as Don can't quite find the damage onto Zach, use the ultimate. UOL will back away from that one, but Formulation, you have to feel, are in a pretty good position as these neutral objectives are spawning again.
So Stress, now that I'm actually looking at the compositions and thinking about what could possibly be the plan of Unicorns of Love, split push, you know, 2 split pushers, which means it's gonna be a 3 versus 3.
Yeah.
Kha'Zix is going to be good in that, because it's going to be easier to separate the enemies. You know, when you have 3 people as opposed to having 5 people, you can catch one enemies, you know, you can catch one very easily, actually.
Yeah, easy to split them up, get that isolated damage, and leaves you a few resets to be quick about. So, Dragon has spawned, as is the Rift Herald, and Unicorns, we know they love to fight. They stick as a 5-man unit, and that's why this composition is slightly different for this Unicorns, where we're used to seeing them only stay as 5, and they want to play split push. That means there's not as much efficiency from these hull breakers right now, while they're all grouped together. Unicorns aggro the Dragon, back themselves away. Remember, Tristana will take turrets very quickly, but we're into a team fight as Cold Star is spinning around in the front. Yumi ultimate is going to lock as Fekko is trying to get himself away. Force the flash will get the first kill onto Don as he kites back in the fight. And Unicorns, now they look a little bit worried. They can't quite re-engage, but Zawa does take damage. Jax and Tristana are going to take out the Rift Herald on their own. And I think this could really start putting pressure on those inhibitors. Jax and Tristana take towers so fast.
Yeah, both of them take towers so fast. And as I said, that's the counter to the split pushing that Unicorns of Love has. And this is the problem that Unicorns of Love have right now, because as we look into the replay very soon, Dawn on that Fiora is the perfect counter pick, right? Like, Cold Star went in on the Garen, he couldn't tank up damage because Fiora deals true damage, and they buffed the true damage. So she dealt more and more damage, which forced Cold Star to use his ultimate earlier, and here we can see Formulation Gaming is the one that's split pushing instead of Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, Unicorns are going to push down through the bottom lane. Rift Herald was still maintained. It did not charge the first tower, so now they will get a charge onto the inhibitor as well. Knockup doesn't quite land on to Cold Star. Didn't even charge the tower. So Inhibitor will get a fresh Rift Herald into it. I think Fekko has to be careful. Unicorns, they have backed themselves away. Funnily enough, their champions push so far that Rift Herald did nothing in that exchange.
Yeah, Formulation Gaming, you know, they wanted to use the Rift Herald, but they got it already, as you mentioned. Fekko on the Tristana, destroying the turret. It didn't even matter. I want to talk about the builds, though, Stress, because I really love the builds that Formulation Gaming is going for. So Jax, Blade of the Rune King, good against tanks. Fiora, Divine Sunderer, so not a Trinity Force, Divine Sunderer, which is good against tanks too, and an instant Blade of the Rune King, which means she's going more damage focused to destroy that Garen when he goes in, right? Like when Cold Star engages, Blade of the Rune King, Divine Sunderer, true damage, boom, he's just dead. And then Tristana, who's going for the, you know, for the crit build, and when she gets into the late game, it's over.
Explosive cast lands, force out the stasis, trying to buy time for the rest of the Unicorns of Love to close the gap. That'll spell the end of that exchange. Interestingly, so when Fekko picked up the first 2 kills, right around that time, he also picked up the Executioner's Calling. Really early healing debuff rush to try and deal with some of this Yumi. Yeah. Nasus has a pretty decent amount of healing in his kit. Kha'Zix has some, Garen has some. So just being like, no, you don't get to heal in this game. I'm just going to cut that off really early.
Yeah, I really love the execution of Scarling. Indeed, I want to talk about a build,
Oh,
but
you're
we
not
have a
gonna
fight.
time. There's the engage. This is about as good as it's going to get from Formulation. There's 3 people got knocked out now. Snyland, he's tanky, but not tanky enough. It's a double kill going already over to Zauer in his first game from the Baron lane. And it's another kill for Kimau. Only Cold Star remains. No neutral objectives, but Formulation are going to shred through the base.
Wow, Formulation Gaming just playing beautifully as a team right here, sticking together, essentially forcing Unicorns of Love to fight them with the 2 hull breakers. And as you look into this replay right there, Trust with a beautiful engage, and Kim Yao following up with the stun, and then we can see the Tristana just killing everyone. Like Fekko is on the Tristana, kill after kill after kill, and then he jumps even further, as you can see, kills Zac as well, but unfortunately they can't quite finish off Cold Star because, yeah, he's playing Garen Stress.
Yeah, bit tanky under the tower in his own base. He's still a little too hard to take out. Couple of turrets I'm going to expect with the inhibitor did not drop, actually. So mid tower and bot tower went. Formulation not getting an inhibitor off that is probably the only window now Unicorns of Love have. The fact that they don't have supers coming into their base.
Yeah, exactly. No inhibitor turrets have been taken, so no pressure yet.
Right.
But the whole map is basically Formulation Gaming's map, right? Like Formulation Gaming took 6 turrets already, as opposed to the 3 turrets that Unicorns of Love have only taken. And Unicorns of Love spent a lot of money on those hull breakers, while Formulation Gaming spent money on the Blade of the Rune Kings, the Sunfire Ages, the actual teamfight items.
This Tristana is so scary. 3,500 gold up on Nasus, and Tristana in the late game, yeah, Nasus has Wither, great, it's going to cut her attack speed, but if she has so many items that she can just eat Nasus's health bar and take him out, there's nothing that they can really do. UL basically have to contest around the Baron or the Dragon for the next time, and if that fight doesn't go their way, if somehow they don't take this Tristana out to begin the fight, I think this is game 1 in the books for Formulation.
And Nasus actually has a Divine Sunderer. Snyland opted for the Divine Sunderer as Zac goes for a 1v1 against Dawn, but they're shaking hands. But what I want to talk about is the build of Snyland on Nasus. He went for the Divine Sunderer stress. He has a Divine Sunderer, which is an item that, you know, it works with Nasus when you have a lot of stacks. But I assume he doesn't have that many stacks as he was playing it in the Dragon lane.
Yeah, and he's being forced away from the lane quite a lot as well. So I feel like, yeah, Unicorns might be a trickier situation for them to get through on this. This Nasus hasn't really had the time they would have liked. There's the engage coming through. Double knockup is going to land from Trust, and the damage is coming out, but it's not quite as quick as you might expect. But it's all on the back end of the fight. It's Gragas to die first, but Tristana is full health. Rocket jump is available soon for Fekko. Surely he can get in. Can't quite close the gap as he's already used his flash. Clearly didn't get the reset off that kill. So Formulation turn for the Dragon off 1 kill. Not as bad for Unicorns as it could have been, but it's still going in Formulation's favor.
It seemed like Unicorns could have possibly won that fight. Like, it was looking like that, but then you have the Tristana, right?
Yeah.
Then you have Fekko on the Tristana. That's the one that deals the sustained damage. So as we look into this replay, it was definitely not that bad for Unicorns of Love, as you can see right here, right? Like, Cold Star on the Garen was able to, boom, get that kill on the Gragas, but then it's the sustain game. They have the Ocean Dragon, they have the Jax, they have the Fiora, as you can see, they have the Tristana. They didn't take much damage. So after that, how do you kill these champions? That's the problem that Unicorns of Love has right now, Stress.
Yeah, Fekko, so the rocket jump happened right after the kill. So Fekko was like, he could see the quadra kill in front of him. And he's like, all I gotta do is get there, and can't quite land it for the damage. So unfortunate timing on that. But this is how strong the Tristana is. She, like, unkilled in that fight. Almost no damage going on to her. And this is the place that Unicorns are struggling from, is they cannot afford to go to the side lane. All they can do is group, because Formulation is so much stronger individually as well. But Unicorns have spent so much money on hull breakers that even as this fight goes, Zauer is going to tank up 3 for the beginning. Fekko jumps in, can't quite get the damage for the kill. That's a good shock blast. Could very well open it up, but Zac couldn't quite find the rest of the damage in that fight. Formulation, they got Fekko. This is the opportunity that they need. Unicorns are going to try and take the team fight, but look at how strong Formulation are from the rest of this one. As Zac, he thought there was an opportunity. Yuumi is on him, but it surely isn't going to be enough. He's going to drop to Dawn. It's not the Aurelia, but this is the Dawn show for Formulation. 12 kills to 3 overall on this game. Formulation are going to turn for the Baron.
And this is what I mean, Stress. Even if you do kill Fekko on the Tristana, even if you do use the Garen ultimate, there is other champions. There's Dawn on the Fiora, there's Kim Yao on the Jax. You can't deal with them. And they haven't even died yet, as you can see. So sure, Unicorns of Love picked a little bit of a shutdown, but they go in again.
Teleport coming through as well. This is Snyland with Phaeton. They've at least stopped the Baron for now, but I don't think it's going to be a permanent deterrent. Formulation turn back. They will shred through this with the Jackson, with the Fiora.
Formulation is going to get this Baron Stress, and they're going to open up the base from Unicorns of Love. As Phaeton is desperately trying to do something, Unfortunately, he's going to be a fallen soldier as well. And
this
teleports
I
as well.
don't know that you can even do this because Cold Star's going to come in. He'll deal some damage. But look, the Baron has already gone down. He will get a kill onto Zawa. They didn't get the steal off, but it at least is another kill going over to Unicorns. But this Baron buff is going to do so much work for Formulation. Tristana has it and is about to push this wave out. Looked to be going bottom lane. Fekko's thinking about it. He's trying to figure out where he wants to go. But this was the fight in mid.
Yeah, exactly. This was the fight in mid. And as you can see, Fekko jumped way too deep. He wasn't able to proc the bomb of his third ability, which means he didn't have a jump to go out. And as you can see, here he was caught off guard because he was unable to proc that bomb. That was a pretty big mistake by Fekko, but it's okay. His team has his back. The Dawn procking that ultimate on Fiora, healing up everyone, by the way. And then Kimiao as well. Just they're going to carry the game. At level 14 Jax, at level 13 Fiora. It is pretty much game over, Stress.
Yeah, these champions do so well in the late game that without Nasus having like one of those games where you just farm up for 20 minutes and you one-shot everybody in sight,
yeah.
he can't handle this many late game threats. There's 3 champions on the side of Formulation that can deal with him in those isolated
He's level 12
situations.
as well.
Oh, wow. Only level 12 to the level 14 basically across the board. Only Zawa and Trust really are anywhere near in level. So, Unicorns of Love are going to try and hold on to their base right now, but with the Baron pushing through, I don't know that this is going to be enough.
Yeah, this is they cannot defend this. They just can't defend it. And we're probably gonna see Formulation Gaming take turret after turret after turret. But Unicorns of Love has one more chance.
Oh, that was an explosive cast to blast Snyland back into the lineup. It's not going to be enough for the final chapter, but in goes Fekko for another kill. Unicorns can't quite find the Tristana to eat the damage, and that's going to be Unicorns of Love dropping in game number 1. A quadra kill for Kimiao to take game 1 and put 1 foot into Group B in the WREC finals.
Right there, beautiful draft. What an amazing game by Unicorns of Love right there. Beautiful draft. Unbelievable performance as well. Wow. They surprised me, Stress. That was amazing.
Yeah, I would say Formulation, you know, we heard coming into it that we thought Zawa was better 1-versus-1 stylistic player than a support, and that it would give Formulation a little bit more of an edge. I think we kind of saw that. I think we saw that Formulation didn't look as shaky as they have in the past. I think they looked very clear on what they could do. And this is one of the first times we've seen Formulation play through Fekko in the bottom lane. Like, truly on a carry. We've seen him play mages, we've seen him play Galio, we've seen him play Seraphine, but on a Tristana? I wasn't really expecting that so much.
He can do it all, Stress. He can do it all, right? Like, they target banned against him, they banned the Ziggs, they banned the Serpent, then he just comes through with the Tristana that no one understands. But, yeah, wow, they can do it all, Stress.
Yeah, they can. Formulation come out with a Game 1 win in this series. We'll see if they can close it out 2-0, or whether Unicorns can tie the series up when we come back in just a few minutes.
To shoot the gifts, to show them what you've got. Shift them from the spot, lift them up, make it hot. Represent. Show them what you got. Represent. To shoot the gifts, to never hold back. Get up out the cut, rise up and attack. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. To shoot the gifts, to exhibit your skills. Live with no limits, to shoot the gifts, to get ill.
Shoot the gift. Everybody shoot the gift.
To shoot the gifts, to know your ish. To scheme and persist, not dream or wish.
Shoot the gift. Represent. Shoot the gift.
To shoot the gifts, to express who you are. Shoot like a shooting star to go superstar far. Love, and hate only hatred. Salute the joy of all you've created. Find and follow your passion, don't fear it. Your course in life, stay alert so you can steer it. Narrow-minded think you never go near it. Tap your soul to free your fluency spirit. Check the mathematics, it's a language teaching knowledge. He can beat mine and addict. Half-time, double time, flu means trouble. I'm rhyme, I'm rhythm, I'm to the people given. I'm driven, type focused, boast cause they know this. Ideas form and swarm like locusts. Soak it on up, let it on in. To my fam, we're grand. Many lands, many kin, many plans for my clan. Yes, we can, let's begin with peace and respect. Join hands and connect. To shoot the gifts, to express who you are.
Shoot the gift.
gift. Paris shoots the gift. Across Europe, they shoot the gift. Throughout Africa, they're shooting the gift. Yeah, and Asia shoot the gift. In Oceania, they shoot the gift. Across South America, they shoot the gift. North America shoots the gift. Yes, sir, planet Earth is shooting the gift. The solar system shoots the gift. In the Milky Way, they shoot the gift. Across the universe, we're shooting the gift. Because we're shooting the gift.
Until you see a breakthrough. That's right. Come on. Why? You know we're gonna break through.
Definitely an amazing game. The first we have between Unicorns of Love and Formulation Gaming. And Caroline, you were demanding some spicy things ongoing, and we got to see the Nazis Yumi in the bowling for Unicorns of Love, even though it didn't work out that well.
I mean, what counts is intention, isn't it? And I thought, you know, watching the Nazis Yumi, I was expecting it. This is something that they played in the past, granted, not with its Nederland in that role, but I think that it usually works for them. They go for a funeral composition. As Unicorns of Love, they have quite a different playstyle. Now, the issue that I saw with it, again, and we've been talking about this, are the stacks on the ability that he can't get being on the Dragon lane. And again, Yumi couldn't do much. The only champion that she could really hang on to was that Nessus. And even though this is happening, I also want to reinforce the idea that Unicorns of Love usually plays around the Baron lane with Cold-Star, and they don't give that much preference to the Dragon lane. So I wasn't expecting something spectacular coming from that part of the composition.
And that Yumi Ryu had several troubles when it came to deal with the Rakan.
Yeah, I mean, Yumi is a pick that Unicorns of Love opted to play because it's a very strong champion in general. But Grizzly Q, the support from Unicorns of Love, is known to be an insanely good playmaker. And Yumi is not really able to do plays by herself since she has to be attached to other champions. And the thing is, Rakan, she charms people around her when she uses her ultimate. Yeah. And if Yumi decides to detach from a champion during a team fight, Rakan will just instantly charm her, which allowed Trusty to pop off completely this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust was insane.
I definitely have to agree about that Rakan pick. Trust on that Rakan was absolutely amazing. Had so many plays picking off people left and right. And I definitely think he was the MVP in that game 1. And also, I think the draft of FG was pretty good. Having the Jax and having that Fiora into the team comp, or against the team comp of Unicorns of Love, who have 4 melee champions. Fiora is a champion that got nerfed, and I would say she's like a pocket pick, and FG picked it as the last pick against melee champions where she can shine. Also, that Jax with the third ability is really good against melee champions, and surprisingly, the Fiora pick Dawn against the Jace. Usually this is a counter matchup. Jace is really, really good against the Fiora. So I was surprised how well Dawn was doing on that Fiora pick, considering she got nerfed. He's playing in a counter matchup. Sure, he's playing in the mid lane, where it's a little bit easier, but overall, still an amazing performance.
I really like Kamala, the elite ration from Formulation Gaming, attacking constantly into the main lane in that very same matchup that WREC was talking about. I think that was that was the core of the game from Formulation Gaming.
I mean, yes, absolutely, but still, I have to say, expect something more from them. They've been coming here with different drops and, you know, been calling like the drop difference, and you give me what you gave me. Give me something else. Give me something that makes me be like, okay, this is Formulation Gaming that is gonna stomp the rest of the teams, that's gonna win this series, and it's gonna make it through the group stage, you know. But for now, I think we have to wait.
Well, I have to wait. But I want to talk to you also, Rio, because we saw top of Hullbreaker from the side of Unicorns of Love, but also going full 5v5. And I know you were not that happy about that.
No, I mean, Hullbreaker's a really strong item because when you are isolated, you deal more damage. I mean, you get more resistances and the minions are stronger. So Hullbreaker's an item you want to pick if you want to go to the side lane to split push a lot. But what Unicorns of Love did is that they grouped up with these items right after finishing them, which means they were already at a disadvantage in terms of gold when the first fight happened. Formulation then capitalized, they won the first fight, and they snowballed from there.
Yeah, definitely. Why do you think, Dark, they were constantly going to the full 5v5?
I think when it came down to the prioritization objectives, I feel like Unicorns of Love were really indecisive when it comes down to, do we want to contest the Dragon, do we want to go for the Herald, do we just focus on split pushing? Because if you want to go for the Hullbreaker team composition, like having the Garen with Hullbreaker, having the Jace with the Hullbreaker, then you sometimes have to sacrifice objectives which are, like the Inferno Dragon, look pretty good for Unicorns of Love, I guess. But like I said, when you go for these items, you just need to focus on getting more turrets. And then also I feel like when it came down to the itemization, I'm not a fan of building Hullbreaker as the first item, and I think it's not necessarily the best item when it comes down to the value. If you can just go for a Black Cleaver, for example, or maybe just build Hullbreaker later on when you want to focus on split pushing. And if you want to go for those team fights, maybe just go for the Sterox Gauge instead, which gives you much more tankiness and is also way better in those team fights.
We saw the stats, and that was kind of like one hell of a game from Team Meow. Definitely insane, Jax.
Yes.
You have to be convinced by the Jax. It was insane.
It was insane. Not my favorite champion. I think Team Meow could have performed better in. Perhaps I will have swapped the classics, maybe if I had the chance to do so. But anyways, I don't think it's going to be open anymore for him. And if it is, you can see, I think we can't expect a really reactive composition coming from Unicorns of Love in response to the specs that we've seen in this particular game. So whatever happens, happens. But for me, the Jax is a yes, maybe later.
Jax, even though when I was saying the Jax work incredibly well into the composition you were talking about, how the Yumi was not as well into the Rakan, but also so many melee champs that Breaker was talking about, so many melee champs into Fiora, into Jax. What I've seen is Formulation playing a really comfortable composition for them, and Unicorns loving a bit of sloppy. They had interesting plans, execution was not that well.
It really wasn't that well. I mean, Kha'Zix is also known to be a really good champion into Jax in the jungle matchup. But now with the Skullcrab changes that we talked about before the game, Jax is actually allowed to just kill the jungle quite safely, level up, scale up, and Jax is a monster when he gets later into the game. And we saw even he got a quadra kill in the last fight. So, I mean, Jax was allowed to scale freely because of this game. And yeah, I mean, it's great to see them adapting to the new patch.
There are no many things more scarier than Jax fed in late game. Definitely, that hurts even in league. It hurts a lot. So, Breaker, what do you think that needs Unicorns of Love to bring into the second game in order to tie the series?
I want to see Grizzly Q on carry supports, hard engaging supports. The Rakan, the Thresh, those are his typical champions that he uses to pick off people, to make plays happen, and I don't feel like Grizzly Q is someone who, I mean, he obviously can play enchanters, but that's not necessarily his signature playstyle. I feel like they need, or he needs to go on those carry champions, and when it comes down to the rotations, I feel like Unicorns of Love were kind of sloppy with the rotations, getting caught, rotating to the mid lane as two people, and then four people from FG just engaged on them and they lose the mid turret, and obviously losing the mid turret opens up the map for FG, and they can just shove the wave in the mid lane, rotate in between those lanes and try to catch people off like they have already with a Rakan pick, and then try to get the other turrets in the side lane.
So, guys, right now we're gonna watch the play of the game. Maybe it's that quad you were talking about. Maybe it's that quad. So let's see the play of the game of this first Unicorns of Love versus Formulation Gaming. All the action here in the mid lane, Rio.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, we see Rakan being amazing, starting this team fight off greatly, and he even gets to live in this fight. You see it, he's going to go over the wall soon, and it's fantastic play from Trusty in general, and also Formulation winning this fight really sealed the deal, and the game was quite over after this.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a huge goal difference, Carmeline, at this point of the game, actually.
I mean, and when that goal difference is translated into items that actually allow Formulation Gaming to snowball and just break the entirety of Unicorn's Bluff composition, then that's even more significant. So if this wasn't, I think this was a nail in the coffin for them, which is kind of sad because it was very messy from EU.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very sloppy. So, guys, let's check how the Coca-Cola pop off as well. And what a game, definitely. And the Coca-Cola pop off is, this is the last team fight, if I'm not mistaken, the breaker.
It's again the Rakan engage, and what I also like, we have been keep talking about the Rakan, but I also like what Feiko is doing on that Tristana pick. The moment he's getting a reset, he jumps in aggressively, trying to do as much damage as possible in those team fights. It's just the team synergy from FG is pretty amazing, and that's surprising considering that they are coming here with roster changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get that because that level of synergy wasn't expected of a lineup that, as WREC said, went through a lot of changes.
Yeah, they went through so many changes and still decided to come up here and show that they were a synergized team, which is amazing to watch. Trusty found a lot of good engagement in the team, which is there instantly to follow up. This is a well-coordinated team, and they were really good at team fighting, which is usually what Unicorns of Love is good at. They beat them at their own game, and let's see if they can do it again in the next game.
Yeah, definitely. Unicorns of Love need to change their priorities maybe for the next game. Maybe change the plans coming into the second game, because there are a lot right now on the line. And to disclose a little bit this first game, we have Stuart in the interview.
Thank you very much, Noah. Yes, I am joined by Mavilla, who is the coach for Formulation Gaming. Mavilla, 1-0 up in the series now. How did you feel like the first game went? How did you feel like it went for you?
At first, I considered that according that since we didn't scrim with you for so long, it would be kind of different of what their usual playstyle would be. I tried to do a scouting according like some sort of breezer stuff like they used to play. It matched with my preparation. And I think that after that, it just went slightly smoothly after we got adapted to our composition and what they were proposing.
And speaking of preparation, how's the preparation been for you coming into this tournament? Obviously, with the roster changes as well and everything. How long have you had to prepare with this new roster?
I'd say that around 2 weeks just before the tournament, we were like deciding what sort of team style do we want to play. If we want synergy, if we want individualities, and we made a consensus, so we're just like trying to be the best group possible.
I think one pick I wanted to talk about as well as a coach is Karma at the moment. Do you think that we're ever going to see Karma in the competition, or do you think it's just going to be banned every single game?
If it's not banned, it's going to be picked 100%.
Awesome, awesome stuff. Thank you very much, Mavilla, for the interview. Back to the analyst desk.
It's coming at us again. We're ready. We're going to get into game. We're not going to make you wait any longer for game number 2 of the day. Game 1 is in the books. So, a fun game. We just heard from Mavilla, who, by the way, is like the happiest guy. He's just happy, like everything about being here. Really nice guy to chat to. Going into that draft, I think when you come out of game and you see like Nasus, Yuumi, like the comp that UOL had, I'm glad he feels confident, because if I was a coach, I'd be like, what the hell just happened in that draft? I'd be like, are we going to win? Who knows?
No, I want to say that they did a good job in the draft, right? Like it was a very weird draft. Like what the hell happened in the draft? But he did a good job. We talked about it, right? Like they did the right counter picks. The Fiora was the perfect pick. I like how calm and collective he is, right? Like he's very calm and collective against a team like UOL, who I would have been super scared to draft against, right? Because you have no idea what they'll pull off, and I think they'll still be scared for the next draft.
Yeah, because I mean, that's not the only thing that UOL have, right? We know that they have a bunch of different ways of playing. We'll see where the lineups go and who's on red side. Unicorns, of course, will have had the side selection going into the second draft. And, you know, historically, I have always been a bit of a Unicorn stan. I casted, like, the organization's very first set of competitive games in PC League of Legends, so I have a very fond memory. And they keep this play style of being, like, crazy, regardless of what game they're playing. playing, regardless of who their coaches are, there's always kind of this play style of always being unpredictable. And Game 1 showed us that, unfortunately, it does not always work for themselves. They're going to need a stronger showing in Game 2. And I know that sounds really straightforward, but what I would say is both individually and as a team, Formulation looks better at all points of the game.
Yeah, I agree, Stress. I agree. But, like, I mean, it's obvious that Formulation Gaming has the stronger individual players to me. You know, I've seen both of them play. Like, the individual players are, I would say, better from Formulation Gaming. But that's where Unicorns of Love's strength comes, right? Like, the team play, the draft. That's what their strengths are. And they got beaten by their own game, as Darkbreaker mentioned. They got beaten by the team fights. But now this is the game where they should never get beaten, Stress. We're getting into the draft.
I don't know how I feel about Unicorns sticking on blue side. Obviously, like, teams have this kind of preference where they come into a tournament and they think, okay, this side is the strongest. It's going to be our prepared draft. So we'll see where Unicorns go. I think if you're Formulation, you probably just ban the same stuff again. I think you stick with Karma, Senna, Graves. Well, the Graves could change, but Karma, Senna for sure.
I'm going to be real honest with you, Stress. I don't even wanna make any predictions there. I'm just going to be embarrassed by Unicorns of Love because we have no idea. But well, I agree with you. You know, just ban what worked for Formulation Gaming. They just don't want to deal with the karma, exactly as Movilla said. Right? Like, they don't want to deal with this. The rest, let it come. That's basically what Formulation is saying. We just don't want to see these types of champions, and the rest, just show it to us and we'll counter it.
Okay, Jace is gone, and I was about to say, if I was going to make a prediction, it would be that Jace wouldn't be first picked, and maybe they look for something like Gragas, which is just a little bit more flexible out of that first spot. I mean, this will mean either Irelia or Olaf make it through, meaning if the priority stays the same, they could look at an Olaf Yuumi if they want to go a similar direction to the last time. Rakan banned out too, so big departure from the previous game. You were anticipating a Rakan priority like this, and it's banned away, looking for that first pick. Formulation have one more ban before we get there.
Yeah, exactly. These are more expected bans, right? Like, it seems like Unicorns of Love is kind of saying, okay, guys, relax, we're gonna ban some good champions actually. So let's see what they pick first. We would both probably guess the Gragas, because that is the strongest pick. But it's Unicorns of Love that we're watching. We have absolutely no idea what they're gonna pick. Yuumi is open, Gragas is open, Galio is open. They're all open, so let's see what they do.
And I'm eyeing up Irelia for Don as third pick in this draft.
Great.
Specifically third pick because it allows you to take Irelia, ban 2 counter matchups from her. You could we've seen Formulation first pick it. We have seen them put super high priority in. The Graves coming through is a little bit of flex. Jungle could also be in the solo lanes there as well. But Formulation have everything they want. There's the first pick. Irelia comes out. So really telegraphed. We know this pick has been played solo queue and in SEA in the jungle role though. So it may not be going to Dawn.
I feel they kind of fell into a trap of Unicorns of Love though, because Graves is a champion that does incredibly well into the Irelia. So it seems like Formulation Gaming is really thinks that, hey, if we put Dawn on Irelia, he's just gonna hard carry the game, regardless of what gets picked into it. And Yuumi is open as well, Stress. I feel you have to pick it away as Unicorns of Love. Even if it may not fit your composition perfectly, I feel you have to pick it away because Formulation Gaming has the Jax and they have the Irelia.
Both super strong with that Yuumi, and both can be...
Thrash, there we go.
Both can be in the jungle, but now with it picked up, I mean, if Formulation want it in spot 3, they could go for it. The Thresh that you were saying for Grizzly Q. I wonder where this last pick is going, because this is a full departure from the last game. This was where we saw Yuumi Nasus. Nasus again.
Well, Stress. What do we even say? We cannot even talk right there. I mean, they pick Nasus in the Baron lane.
So they put pressure now on bot lane in the sense of Formulation have to take one half of their bottom lane, I would imagine, here, or it gets banned away, but they don't. They're just going to flex through topside. So Formulation showing full topside and saying, we actually don't care what we play against Nasus and Thresh.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be Nasus in the Dragon Lane. They keep to their strengths. Even if they lost last game, they keep to their strengths. I just said Nasus in the Baron lane, but I guess it's going to be Nasus in the Dragon Lane yet again. I just feel Nasus Dragon Lane doesn't work without a Senna, and Formulation Gaming understands. Well, Formulation Gaming thinks the same as well, because they're obviously just banning away the Senna. They don't want to be dealing with the Senna Nasus. But Unicorns of Love is just picking him regardless of Senna being banned, Stress.
Yeah, it feels very similar to the Game 1 draft, which is not what I was expecting. I thought Unicorns were going to make a few changes there. The bans pretty much have stayed almost completely the same. Yuumi there is the ban. You kind of called it, that you have to put pressure on that coming into the second phase. So for Formulation, the only thing different is that Olaf is banned, and it allowed them to get the Irelia. So now we probably will see AD carry picked up here, and it allows them to flex that Gragas, I would imagine, right up until the last pick.
And the problem bottom is Lulu is also open stress.
Ooh,
Formulation
wow,
Gaming
yeah.
could still pick the Lulu. Right now what they could do is they pick an ADC and they pick the Lulu. And Lulu is not only good with the ADC, Lulu is also insanely good with the Aurelia and the Jack stress. And I feel Formulation Gaming have won it yet again, but that's a Caitlyn. I know you love the Caitlyn
That's a
stress.
Caitlyn. I love Caitlyn. I actually have banned it out in every single game as an AD carry. It's really oppressive in lane. And Nasus is melee range champion.
Yeah.
And that means Nasus is going to go in lane, walk in and get headshot again and again for the first few minutes of this game. If he is a Dragon Lane carry. There is, of course, the opportunity to put him in Baron.
Yeah.
There's the Ashe, one of the laners that can do okay into Caitlyn. Yes, she suffers in range, but Ashe sits quite far back anyways.
Stress, that's a Nasus Baron lane.
It
It's
is,
my
it
favorite
is.
pick. It's Jhin and Nasus that I love. And I love to see this from Unicorns of Love. They're very flexible, so they didn't just...
Whoa!
Wow, that's
Whoa,
the
hang on a
Alistar
second.
mid lane, Stress. That's the Alistar mid lane. These are famous picks. Unicorns of Love is known for this, and this is the draft that I want to see. This is the draft that I want to see for Unicorns of Love, and I feel if they win a game, they win. So let me elaborate. They hard counter Aurelia with this composition stress. They absolutely hard counter Aurelia. Every single pick that Unicorns of Love has hard counters the Aurelia.
Yeah, well, we'll touch on how in-game as well, because those of you that haven't watched a lot of Wild Rift may be like, what in the hell is going on? We've got an Ashe, we've got a Lux. North American Finals, they were playing Lux in both like the carry role in bottom lane, and I think I saw a support game in there. It can be a little difficult with bottom lane champions swapping in roles, but in this game, it's either Trust or Don going to be piloting. No, it's surely going to be Trust on the Lux. Don playing his signature Irelia, I would imagine. You know, from both sides of this draft, a lot of flexibility where I'm like, I think I know what's happening, but there's a few different curveballs in here. I'm happy to see Ashe and Caitlyn on the Rift, though.
No, yeah, like you said, you know, what the hell was happening? That's the real question indeed, but that's the question that we're asking as well. You know, everyone is asking this question, but this is Unicorns of Love. This is essentially Unicorns of Love.
Yeah.
This is what they do. You never expect what they pick, and I feel this time they could pull it off, Stress.
I feel like you kind of said it in the draft. I think Unicorns were like, we're setting the trap. Coming into this draft, you're like, have Aurelia, we've got something prepared.
Exactly.
In all of our prep, we were talking about how do you play against Formulation, and I was like, well, you know if you leave Aurelia open, they're going to take it.
Yeah.
They almost always do. So Unicorns use that knowledge, and they say, all right, we'll just draft around it. We'll build a comp, put Alistar in the middle lane. Like, no other team is really doing anything like that.
Yeah, and I feel like they didn't do that at all during the first draft. So now as we head into the second game, I feel this will be a close one, Stress. If not a dominant performance from Unicorns of Love. That's a big thing to say because Formulation is the favorite in this game, but I'm still saying it, Stress.
Well, that would, but then the response of the sweeper is going to put a lot of pressure onto Kamau here, who has to back away from his topside jungle. We talked a little bit about how jungle pathing has changed, like full clear is typically what we expect, but we saw, of course, Scuttle Crab priority last game. Unicorns, they've got the steal on the red buff, and they will be out. We'll see whether they can actually protect their own. Ward has been placed on the bottom side. Unicorn's going to go back in as Kamau. Don got flayed forward into that exchange as Grizzly Q trying to back himself away. Kamau is going to leap strike his way out of that one. Formulation, low health bars. They'll have to eat the honey fruit, but no real loss of life at that point. That red buff steal could very well be crucial for Unicorns.
That was very crucial. And even though Formulation Gaming is actually ahead, that was a win for Unicorns of Love right there. Because as you can see right now, Fatten on the Graves is probably going to do a full jungle clear right here. And he denied jungle camps from Kim Yao on the Jax, who is a very good jungler, you know, that wants to farm and farm and farm. Very, very nice start from Unicorns of Love right here.
Hang on a second, hang on. Lane assignments. I was like, oh, Nasus in bottom lane. Sure, it's Cold Star on Nasus in bottom lane in a 1 versus 2. Don's getting dove, does get the double stun, will get locked down. It's Ashe up in the top lane playing into Gragas. It's not quite a lane swap, but Unicorns are really trying to throw as many curveballs. The downside of this is Nasus against 2 ranged champions in bottom lane will not be able to step up to the wave, and it's forcing Unicorns to react with some pressure into the bottom lane.
I really don't like this stress. You know, I hate to say this as a caster, but me as a Nasus enjoyer myself, this is not how I want to see Nasus be.
It sucks, right? Playing against ranged is awful as Nasus.
You want to farm, you want to stack, and especially as a Baron lane Nasus, right? Like the Baron lane Nasus that Cold Star is playing right now, you want to be stacking. So it would be interesting to hear why they actually swapped lane, because Zaur on the Gragas can hold off champions, right? Like he has the ranged casket, he can do it, but Cold Star on Nasus, here we can see what Nasus wants to do. Relax on his wave, boom, bonk a minion, that's 4 stack. Relax and bonk another minion. Stack to the late game, get the Divine Sunder or the Trinity Force, and absolutely hard carry the game, Stress.
Yeah, we know how that goes later on. Nasus with time can take over a game. It's kind of all about how Unicorns can pressure out the rest of the map. This is what we're used to seeing from Formulation, by the way. Enemy jungle support sitting around Don the entire game long. Don is like used to playing 1 versus 3 at most points in the game on this Irelia. He's like, well, I just don't get to farm very well. But that does give a lot of space over to Formulation in this bottom lane. Fekko about to hit level 5. On that Caitlyn, will have ultimate available, but we got to watch for Sniland's ultimate as well. Like that Ashe Crystalline Arrow can be really impactful. Starting fights, the Hawkshot can control vision, so both bottom lane have a lot of responsibility on them in this game.
Yeah, definitely. Ashe is a super important pick right there to stop the engage from the Don, right? Like when Don goes in with his ultimate, boom, you stun him with the Ashe. But I want to talk about the gold lead, by the way, Stress. Unicorns of Love sitting on 10k gold and Formulation on 11k. That's a 1k gold lead in 3 minutes.
Right.
How the hell did that happen, you ask?
Yeah. Do you have the answer?
I have the answer.
You got the answer.
I
Hals
got the
has
answer. The answer is Formulation Gaming has just been much more efficient, and it's also because of the lane swap, as we can see, right? Like Zara has more gold, even Trust has more gold, everyone has more gold, and Fekko sitting on a 700 gold because he had the easy lane against the Nasus Stress.
Yeah, huge lead in that bottom lane role for what I will continue to say AD carries. In this game we have Ashe and Caitlyn, so I think I'm allowed to on that one. About 4 minutes into the game, so neutral objectives about to spawn. This should give Don a little bit of release on that pressure. No longer does he have to worry about people ganking him over and over again. And against the Alistar, you said it's a bit of a counter matchup. Like, what do we expect from this Alistar and the Irelia interaction going on? Is it purely that when she jumps in, you're like pulverize, headbutt, get her out of the fight?
Exactly. When she jumps in on your carries, you pulverize, headbutt, and get her out of the way. The Don is dealing with it perfectly, by the way, sitting on 3,300 gold. And it seems like both teams are going to be handshaking again. And now I do like the decision from Unicorns of Love because they have the Nasus, right? Like Nasus split push. Nasus may even be able to get a whole turret Stress. This is the beauty of Nasus. You use your ultimate on the turret, you're just going to get it.
Yep, you just funnel as much solo gold in the local area. That's an engage onto Zac in the bottom lane as Formulation had already taken Dragon.
Ooh.
I don't know whether they can get the kill here because Alistar has that unbreakable will. It's really hard to kill an Alistar, but first turret goes down to the team taking the Dragon is not always what you want, but there's the Crystalline Arrow going over to the Gragas. Good explosive cast is going to create the space. Rift Herald won't put the damage down on the turret yet, but the rest of Unicorns are over there. Fekko coming into the lane, 300 health on this turret, and it's a bit of a disaster if they don't get that one. Zawa lands the exhaust. It's not the engage to get the kill, but it's enough to deter. We
got him!
Splits Unicorns of Love through the middle for first blood.
Oh, what a beautiful first blood right there, Stress. Just boom, the ultimate goes right through it. Coldstar finally picking up the turret as well. He still saved his ultimate actually, but this is a disaster for Unicorns of Love. Formulation Gaming taking a Dragon, taking a turret, getting some kills, or getting the kill as well. This is an absolute disaster for Unicorns of Love.
Especially when you're the Nasus. You're like Coldstar, you're like, please don't die. Like, give me 10 minutes in this game. Don't die. Let's let the game be 0-0 and I'll just farm up. Because the problem is, Nasus, at this point, with the amount of time spent in the side lane, the amount of gold he should have accrued, should have more than a 200 gold lead on this Gragas.
Yeah.
He should be further ahead, and that's not necessarily Coldstar's fault, but Formulation have put the pressure on. They've actually forced plays elsewhere on the map, and that's what's causing Unicorns to be on the back foot in this. It's a 2,000 gold lead for Formulation right now.
Yeah, and Coldstar is actually taking the tanky approach. He's going for a Fimbulwinter and not a Sheen item. Sheen being an item, a component to the Divine Thunder and the Trinity Force, which means he pushes turrets much slower.
Yeah.
And here we can see, instead of him being the one applying pressure, it's Formulation Gaming applying pressure. Formulation Gaming is just on top of their game Stress.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of keeping the pace of the game high so that Unicorns of Love cannot funnel gold over to Coldstar. One of the things about Ashe is she's really good utility, and with itemization she can deal a decent amount of damage in tanks, in team fights, but against tanks she can kind of struggle. Against assassins she can get jumped on. However, there's the Crystalline Arrow, does not land where they needed it to, and Formulation will pounce on that engage. In goes the Dawn on this Irelia. They can't find Sniland, but they will find 3 as Zac is taken down for the double kill for Kamau, and it's all Formulation for a second game in a row. 4 kills to 0 to start this one off.
And Unicorns of Love did a full engage. They used everything. I don't quite remember on who they used it, but that person flashed away and they wasted all of their abilities. They wasted the Ashe ultimate. They wasted every single important ability that they need to deal with the Dawn. And I'm sure we'll get a replay. There it is.
It's Fekko, hook over
there
the
it
wall.
is. It was Fekko. Boom! You see it. He just flashes right out of it. You know, the Ashe arrow breezed right through his ear. It probably cut off his ear hairs as well, but it didn't cut him off. So he survived and they won the fight, Stress.
Yeah, really important flash. If he doesn't dodge that arrow, that pretty much is the first kill of the game for Unicorns of Love, right? It's a different fight. But Formulation are outplaying in some of these engages right now, and that's the danger. We said coming into the game, you know Don will take Irelia, and you've given it over to him. You think you've got a counter plan, which does make sense, but he's still so good on this champion. He's still so good at dashing around fights, getting damage out, and it's allowing Formulation to put 2 kills onto Kamau. We've got a kill onto Fekko already from that ace in the hole earlier, and Formulation, this is exactly what they would have wanted coming into game 2. It's business as usual. That's going to hit the Gragas. Zach Q tries to go in, does get the double knockup, can't quite land the stun on the back of it. Hook will land onto Zawa, but he is one tanky boy and can't get enough as Don gets a kill. They will exchange it for a kill onto Phaeton, but Jax is coming through the middle lane. Oh, Phaeton blocked the ace in the hole. Was that the wisest move? Can they get the kill onto Trust? No, he has the trust of his teammates to keep him alive, and it is all Formulation as Coldstar is forced away from this fight. Damage down from the Nasus, splits it away with the final spark, and Formulation can't quite find the final kills of the fight, but they will extend their gold lead 7 kills to 1.
Unicorns of Love is doing a little better during these fights. We can see that they're almost able to get kills. They even got 1 kill during this team fight, but it's just not quite enough yet. We need more items on Unicorns of Love, but Formulation, it seems, they're not going to give them time to get it. They're already ahead by 5,000 gold, 9 minutes into the game, and I'm sure they're going to go for this Rift Herald and crack open the base of Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Nasus really hates. Is getting pushed by Rift Herald because he can't de-push quick enough in those situations. Trust dodges one but doesn't dodge the arrow, but nobody is there to capitalize. The headbutt actually pushes Kamau back out of the fight. I don't know whether that was exactly what they were looking for, but look, another stun from the side of Kamau, and Trust final spark might be the final chance for Unicorns of Love. Ace in the hole, doesn't even connect in time for the rampage. A clean ace, and that's Formulation putting Unicorns in the hole, and Formulation a 1 win away at this point from Group B, and I think they're gonna get it.
Clean is the name of the game right there. Formulation gave me just absolute perfect team fighting right there. Coldstar didn't have his ultimate, and it was only on a few second cooldown, but Formulation did not give them enough time. And as we can see into this replay, Formulation had none of it. They were not going to wait for that ultimate on Nasus. And as you can see, Coldstar is just kind of not doing anything right there. He doesn't have the Nasus ultimate. A beautiful engage from the Dawn with his ultimate, and then Kim Yao following up as well to stun the whole squad as well. And here it's just game over. Zauer tanking up as he should, as the Baron laner, and just a very, very clean team fight. Oh, there's a quick Ashe arrow to the Dawn.
These gold leads down the board. Top is relatively even, and Unicorns have given everything to Coldstar. On the jungle, it's 2,000. Mid lane, 3,500. Bot lane, 2,000. Even supports are at 1k up on the side of Formulation. They have nearly 10,000 gold, 2 dragons. The towers are even, but from the way they've been playing this game, it's not as important a factor yet for Formulation. They will get these towers. They will eat through the health bar of Alistair, who will not be tanky. On 1 item, as a mid laner, 11 minutes into the game means he is not able to output as much control on this game as they would expect from Zac. Yes, he has the ult, but he's still going to die quickly once that's down.
He's still going to die quickly indeed. And they just don't have damage. They don't have enough damage yet. Ooh, Grizzly trying to look for the sneak hook. He doesn't have vision on the bush, by the way. They just don't have enough damage. We saw really good engages from Unicorns of Love, but they just don't have the damage to follow it up, Stress. It's just Snyland on the Ashe, but Ashe needs to scale into the late game. They can't win team fights.
And Ashe is nowhere near scaling into the late game. Has a Mana Mune and then half of the next item from this, and it hasn't even converted. Like, they haven't stacked it fully the last time I saw the items about 20 seconds ago. So there needs to be more time on this game. It has finally transformed. So alongside that phage, oh, Zac, oh, that's a great explosive cast from the side of Formulation. Zac that ult is running. They've taken him down already as the tower will drop. Rift Herald still has another charge. Ace in the holes just to put some damage down on top, and Formulation will continue this push. They've backed away with Kamau because of how low he was, so it is a 4 versus 4, but Don finds another stun. Feko finds a rampage, and Rift Herald is going to have a second charge.
Formulation Gaming just doing what they can. You know, they're pushing the lane very, very easily. Got 2 turrets while killing the squad of Unicorns of Love, and they go again!
Body slam as well. That's Formulation continuing the move. Rift Herald is still alive. Is this going to be a third charge? Redemption's not enough damage to stop it. They've put the damage on the tower. 100 health. Headshot. Can you headshot a tower? Doesn't even matter as Feko's going to push it down.
I talked about cracking open the base, but their Formulation Gaming is cracking open the entire map with this Rift Herald. They even opened up the mid lane. Formulation Gaming, I believe, took 4 turrets with that one single push in like 1.5 minutes. And we can see the arrow coming from Snyland. Unfortunately, not connecting. Yeah, unfortunately,
it's
not connecting.
Trying to find its way back to the airport at this point. I love Unicorns. I've got to say, I love Unicorns, but at this point, from the fight like this, it's almost a foregone conclusion that Formulation have won this series.
Yeah, like I would say if we get to the very, very late game,
I don't even
35 minutes into the game with full build Nasus, full build Snyland on the edge, they can tank up the damage and win the game. But that's not going to happen, Stress. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Formulation have such good control of this game. You can see how these team fights have been playing out, that they don't even need every single thing to land. However, Don, 1 versus 3. This very well is the opening that Unicorns can take advantage of. Oh, no way.
He's not going to die.
Out. He even flashes away. And look, he nearly took out...
He's going to go in. He's going to go in.
Baron actually... is getting taken down by Formulation. You're right. Don pressured again around the bottom lane to try and pick off a kill. Baron's gone. Don set up the wave for bottom lane to now push it through for the tower. And Formulation, this is it. This is the last set of pushes of the game. All they need is 1 kill or just a little more, and they'll be able to push this through. Unicorns of Love, they've brought their flavor to this tournament. They have done what they can for this best of 3, but on this day, Formulation, their roster swap looks great. Their read on the meta has been fantastic, and they are pushing through for a potential win to put them in Group B. And Unicorns of Love don't have enough left in the tank. Zac was already dropped. They knocked Cold Star into the fight. Cold Star was given everything to start this. It's a double kill already for Formulation. They are looking to end this series and take their spot alongside Pala and Game Lord.
He can't kill him!
Feko has
He can't kill him!
That is insane!
Look at this!
He's
He
still
can't
alive!
kill him!
You
This
can't
doesn't
kill
die.
Formulation! Formulation advanced to Group B in the WREC Finals.
Wow, and what an amazing first game to start off this tournament, Stress. This was just a phenomenal performance from Formulation Gaming.
Really, really strong performance. And I mean, Unicorns, they threw a few curveballs. They showed us some signs of the playstyle we saw from them. But this is why Formulation, you know, made it to this stage. That we had some great teams that didn't make it. I mean, you know, we look at a team like Viv, who came in the regular split, were 3rd place, didn't make it because Formulation had some great games. And we saw that kind of playstyle here. When Don gets Irelia and it's in the meta and it's strong, it's so hard to outplay him. Even with a draft that's built to play around that Irelia, even with a draft where you're like, we know you're playing Irelia, he still is able to come and really smash through that middle lane.
Yeah, and to me it's crazy that even though Formulation Gaming fell into the trap of Unicorns of Love in the draft, because Unicorns of Love on paper had the counters to the Irelia, it didn't do anything. Formulation Gaming just won it all.
Call an ambulance, but not for me. Meme coming through. That's it for Series 1 of the day. We're going to head over to the Analyst Desk to break down Formulation's 2-0 win.
Thank you, Stress. Thank you, Hells. Now we have our team on the main stage. It's going to be Formulation Gaming. As you predicted, Ryu, they were pretty aggressive. They got early advantage in this game, and they rolled over Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, even Unicorns of Love tried to make this game more spicy by getting an early invade off. They even made a lane swap, which was not successful in the end. At least we saw Unicorns of Love trying to do something different this game, but yeah, it didn't work off.
Yeah, Unicorns of Love tried something different, but Formulation Gaming was playing like signature pick. We had the Irelia in the middle lane, their breaker, and it was really exciting to see him.
Exactly. Don on his signature pick Irelia, he hyped it up a lot, and he definitely showed up that he is one of the best Irelias. And surprisingly, he did against, like the others already said, the team comp from Unicorns of Love was kind of built against it, but he still made it work. And I think the main issue was that Don was laning against Alistair, and Alistair is a champion that can't really hold the Aurelia too well. He just gets pushed in, he doesn't have the wave clear, and then the main problem is when you don't have wave clear, you just get out-roamed, and as an Alistair you always want to join those team fights, but if you're pushed in by that Aurelia pick, then that's kind of counterproductive. And on top of that, the Nasus would have been a great counter in the lane matchup against the Aurelia, but I feel like they kind of abandoned Nasus in the early game after the lane swap. And then afterwards, I feel like the itemization of Coaster wasn't the greatest, especially if you want to face the Aurelia, you shouldn't go for the Fimbulwinter, maybe go for the Divine Sundra, go for the Hullbreaker, so you can match up the Aurelia and then actually pressure the Aurelia enough so she can farm up for free. And also credits to Don, obviously, in those team fights. He was popping off with the Aurelia, jumping back and forth. And before the Baron play, he also created enough pressure on the side lane that multiple people from Unicorns of Love were chasing him. He still managed to survive, and in the meantime, his teammates got the Baron, so well played overall.
Yeah, we saw some adaptation commonly from the side of Unicorns of Love running away the Rockland that gave them so many problems in the first game, but we get to see a similar certain clash of style here in this second game that finally Formulation Gaming ended winning.
I mean, I'm kind of disappointed when it comes to the way they've played, because when they've shined the most, Unicorns of Love put a lot of emphasis on the jungler, on the core star. They really reinforce those lines. And I feel like these picks haven't been the best, which is, again, disappointing for me. I've also noticed that the pacing has been kind of strange in this game. 5 minutes in, we had the first kill not coming at all for Wild Rift, and not coming at all for these two teams. They are usually a lot more aggressive. They tend to go all in. So whether this marks the end for Unicorns of Love or the beginning of the road for Formulation Gaming, I think the other teams have to keep an eye on them, because that's definitely going to impact the way they will have to face the rest of the teams that have qualified already.
I have to agree on this with Kamala and Uriel, because this has been a huge statement from the side of Formulation Gaming. These two games winning the way did win. We were discussing like the playstyle with both teams, and you were talking about the lane swap, where we get to see Lux and Kanan literally bullying Nasus.
I think putting Nasus onto a side lane weak side is technically okay. He can sit there, farm up, and maybe he absorbs some pressure from a gank or two, and he will still be fine when he gets that Divine Sundra, and he can maybe match Aurelia later. But if you put him into a 1v2 matchup against Lux and Caitlyn, who has some of the longest range in the entire game, then it's so difficult for him to get those stacks and get rolling and actually match Aurelia later.
So it's all about Unicorns of Love trip and here, and we have Formulation Gaming. That's the bright side of the match, of course, joining the main stage, the Group B. And I want to know, guys, while we are watching the play of the game, we have several exciting plays in here. I want to know, Dark, how do you think that is going to do Formulation in that Group B?
I honestly think Formulation is performing really well from what we've seen so far. They smashed it. They just smashed Unicorns of Love completely, and I feel like they can put up a pretty good fight in coming into the Group B. And my prediction is probably that they will end up second seed in the Group B, and I think they're gonna put up a really good fight against Gamelord as well. But Gamelord is probably still a step ahead. Who knows? But I think Formulation Gaming is just slightly weaker, and I think they should probably win against Parla as well. From what I've seen, macro-wise, rotation-wise, that draft, how they're playing, they seem like really well coordinated together, and that's surprising considering they just changed the roster recently.
It's so nice to see when you make the changes and you're in this state of honeymoon with your new players and your new iteration, that everything goes so well, so smoothly. Guys, we're gonna see our Coca-Cola pop-off from this second game while we are talking about it, because Carmeline pieces get to, get together and they work, and that is amazing.
It is amazing, but as you said, honeymoon phase, isn't it?
That's the honeymoon stage. We get to see so many that.
It can be really tricky because it's not playing well, but that also means that when it comes to teams that have been together for a longer time, you're facing a different kind of list. You're facing people that have got a synergy that you might not have built so deeply to the time you've been together. So I want to see if they can keep this up, if Formulation Gaming will crumble under the claws of Parla and Gamelord. Will they be able to do so? I'm not so sure. Honestly.
Okay, fascinating thing here, but I have to say, Rio, that I get to see a team that seems to understand quite well how their players work.
Yeah, I mean, Parla and Gamelord is probably going to be the toughest group you can get into with here.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Parla is the #2 seed from Turkey. I think that's going to be an exciting matchup between them and Formulation Gaming. But Gamelord, the #1 seed from European. Formulation is going to have one hell of a match in that game.
Yeah, definitely. They know each other, but it's been a while since the last time we get to see Gamelord. So let's see how they are adapted also as well in this in this new patch. Also, they come as very favorites, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously Gamelord is favorites coming in. They're coming from the European region. They're the #1 seed from EU, and they won 3-0 easily in the finals against WREC. WREC, a team that has been dominating for the entire year. So, I mean, this Gamelord roster is going to be so exciting to watch, and I think Formulation, even though they look good today, I think they're going to have a tough task against them.
They're going to have a tough task, definitely, because they can underestimate Parla as well. So, guys, to disclose the series right now, we have our expert, Stuart, and in the interview ready.
Thank you very much, Noah. Yes, I am indeed joined by the Don, who is the mid laner from Formulation Gaming. Don, congratulations. You've gone through the first hurdle. You've beat Unicorns of Love in that playing match. How do you and the team feel after that one?
Well, this was really good game, I would say, by my team. We feel really happy, like we feel like relieved, because our goal is, of course, like winning WREC, but the most important step was winning UOL, because since you know UOL at LAN events are like tier 1 team of Europe, so they're like the toughest opponents, and the Origin series of the last year showed it. And since we beat them, I guess we're getting closer to our success.
100%, I definitely agree. About the group as well, Group B, you're going to be going up against Gamelord and Parla. You know, you need to try and get into the top 2 to get into the semi-final. What do you think about that? You reckon you can do it?
I think yes, like we feel pretty confident. Gamelord might bring some troubles, but we prepared for them, and I think everything's going to be fine.
And I can't do a Don-out interview without mentioning Irelia. I have to mention the Irelia unique pick for yourself. You showed up really strong. In the second game, it didn't really pop off maybe as much as what you think, but tell us a little bit about your Irelia.
Well, what can I say? My Irelia is pretty good, and every time I get this champion, I feel like it's my comfort, and I feel like I can carry, you know, I can do something. And you better ban it, guys. Better ban it.
There you go. You heard it from Don himself. Ban out Irelia, Gamelord, and Parla. Thank you very much, Don, for the interview. Congratulations. Good luck in Group B. Back to the analyst desk.
I mean, ban her not only because Don is an expert with that champion, but also because he's broken. It's broken. It's pretty broken. Irelia is so broken, no matter what game you are playing, definitely. But yeah, quite humble, I have to say here, Don.
Sorry, what did you say?
He was pretty humble in the interview.
Yeah, he was really humble. Don is usually a player that I wouldn't say has an ego, but he's a good player and he knows it. And in this interview, like, he didn't really show up that character he usually shows. So, but yeah, I think, I mean, obviously you have to be humble when you're going into a group with Gamelord themselves.
Doug, you were pretty vocal about the matchup in the mid lane, and I want to ask you about Don's Irelia, because he was saying, you better ban this away, but do you think that there's a team that can put up a fight versus that Irelia without banning her away?
I think like it's not necessarily a Don thing. I want to give him credit, obviously, but Irelia is a very broken champion right now, and she is super contested. And the main reason why she's so good is because you can triple flex her, play in the Baron lane, play in the jungle, and play in the mid lane. So during the draft phase, this gives the team a huge advantage, and obviously, like we saw in game 2, Don can also back it up with his skills. So that was pretty nice to see.
It was pretty nice to see, guys. And you know what's pretty nice to see? Our MVP from this series, because we're going to figure out who was the most valuable player in here. Caroline, who was your most valuable player in your heart?
I mean, I kind of like you guys. My favorite player in here was Miao, playing that for the second time. Quite good. But if I had to choose an MVP overall, it would be called Star for Unicorns of Love. There you go, I threw it against you.
And the MVP is going to go all straight to Faker. First, Ryu with the Tristana, so important. Second game with Kaylin, which was a surprise. Also, once again, really important, and so high mechanical prowess.
We saw finally an 80 carry champion in the bottom lane actually popping off. Faker was ruthless in the first game. He just jumped in, got those reset, and killed everyone, and he was ready. Even in the second game, he's really like, picking Caitlyn is a really lane dominant pick, and you have to know you're the better player to pick that champion. So I think Faker played amazingly. He had a 31 KDA. I mean, it showed.
I mean, Kaylin is such a fragile champion when it comes to the early game. If she's not okay, if she's not ahead, she may be falling behind, but Faker Darkbreaker played it amazingly.
Exactly. What I like about Faker, especially in the first game, was that he just knows when to go in aggressively as well. Not only standing behind, but also knowing when to jump in as a Tristana once he gets the reset on that second ability, playing more aggressively, maximizing his damage, and then in the second game, playing super consistently, doing tons of damage, and perfect KDA. He didn't die in both games, and that's how he got the 31 KDA. But I have to give credits to the support Trust as well on that Rakan. Insane playmaking, insane. Like he caught so many people in those team fights with his Rakan pick, so he did an amazing job. And in that second game, I think he also didn't die on that Lux. So both played pretty good.
Yeah, definitely in a very volatile matchup. I have to say, guys, this was the first best of 3 series from the day. There's more WREC to come in a few minutes. We go to a break, guys. I love you.